Hey baby boys, KotyTang here. Where are we again? Oh, of course. So Sora is fucking dead, and the DLC didn't explain anything at all about anything. Now, we're at the second half, and it's time to see what we can decipher from the final bit of story of Kingdom Hearts 3. Now check this out. Kingdom Hearts games usually have secret endings to give you a hint on what the next game will be about, so let's take a look at Kingdom Hearts 3's. Sora and Riku both wake up in Shibuya. They are now in what appears to be the real world, as in our world. Sora and Riku walk about in different areas of the city, and Yozora is seen sitting atop a building. You remember Yozora? That character that was teased back in Toy Story as a video game? Right, well, he's apparently a real guy, and not just a video game character. The Master of Masters does this thing, and that's the secret ending. Wow. So anyway, Sora is dead still, but not all is lost. Riku and friends have all gathered to search for him. This is the most fan-fiction shit I've ever seen from an original creator of a series since Dragon Ball Super. So get ready. Riku and Terra meet once more, and Terra pretends he's taught Riku everything he knows when he literally didn't. Aqua and Ven arrive shortly after, and he wants to hear why they're having a good time, but Terra ain't about to tell him anything, so they don their Keyblade armor. Even though all of their armors are supposed to have been broken or lost and no longer exist anymore. But for reasons, they now have their armor back, exactly the same as they did before, and they go to the realm of darkness. Which begs the question of, why does nobody else wear Keyblade armor if they can just magically remake it for no reason at all? So, 1 year has passed and literally nobody can find Sora. Because he's dead. But Aerith says if we still remember him, then he's still with them. What the hell are you talking about? The only reason they forgot Sora last time was because Naminé made them forget. And the reason nobody remembered Xion is because she relied on Sora's memories to exist. And through her death, Xion was forgotten. Which allowed Sora to regain those memories that he was missing. Which was also a stupid ass story. I don't understand why suddenly they would think that that's just the rule when people die now, because death has never made them forget people. Kairi was literally obliterated heart and body and nobody forgot her. But I guess forgetting people is just the standard now if you die. So basically, this is their plan to find Sora. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are looking through every world Sora's been to. Terra, Ven, and Aqua are in the Dark Realm, and the Twilight Gang are looking through Roxas and Xion's memories. And then Kairi is put to sleep once again and searching through her heart. Because she's absolutely useless and nobody knows what to do with her character. All these things make literally zero sense, and I have no idea how any of these events would ever lead them to Sora. So Riku's story is like this. Sid connected all the computers from different worlds to the same network, somehow. Also, Sid apparently remade Sora in the datascape. Sid says he can't access any of the organization's data because they're too powerful. Whatever that means. So he sends Data Sora to fight them because that will somehow allow him to access their data. And that's the premise the game uses to further the plot. Honestly, if Sora is comprised of data that Sid made, he could just make him invincible and fight the organization members that way. Really, Sid could edit the shit out of Sora's data and make their lives so much easier. But he just insists on having Riku play a fake version of Sora in a computer game. So, Sora fights the organization members until he's defeated all 13. After that, Sid says that they have found literally nothing, because why the hell would they have? They were just fighting data. Honestly, I don't understand what any of this has to do with finding Sora. It literally makes no fucking sense. Just think for a moment. They all know Sora abused the power of waking. Mickey Mouse was fully aware of the consequences, yet for some reason, even he is searching for Sora. Seriously, Yen Sid of all people should already know that searching for Sora in their current reality is entirely pointless. What the actual hell is going on in the story? So, anyway, Fairy Godmother of all people teleports in and for some reason is aware of what dreams Riku has been having, so she asks him to describe them. So, it turns out that sequence in Shibuya was not a secret ending. That actually happened. The scene with Sora and Riku was a dream that Riku had. What the fuck? So now, they discovered that Riku's dreams are, for whatever reason, the key to finding Sora. Kingdom Hearts 3 is definitively the worst fucking entry to this story. So we flip to Kairi, and now I guess she's dreaming, but we wake up as Sora. That's right, Sora is alive, and he's somewhere. So Sora begins calling out into the void, and eventually he gets a response. Yozora materializes into this nothing place Sora is in. Sora recognizes him as the person he met in Toy Story's world. After introducing himself, Yozora says he's heard of Sora as well. Yozora says he doesn't actually look like what we're seeing, then asks Sora why he's Sora. Then he summons a gun, and I guess they're gonna fight now. Sora's heart then turns into Shibuya, and the stage is set for them to fight, I suppose. Sora doesn't want to fight Yozora, so Yozora says that's fine because he's supposed to save him. So he decides the best way to save somebody is to mercilessly beat the shit out of them in one of the hardest boss fights Kingdom Hearts has ever witnessed. So now we have two endings. If you lose, which you likely will first try, Yozora will say he doesn't lose and Sora will crystallize. And Yozora is all,
I will save you.
Then a flash of light happens and Yozora is seen in the final world. Then he goes to sleep. And then the opening of Final Fantasy Versus 13 plays. I'm kidding. It's actually a shot-by-shot recreation of Final Fantasy Versus 13 that plays. And then Yozora says Sora's signature quote from Kingdom Hearts 1. And Yozora is all, none of this makes sense to me. And I'm right there with him. This story gets worse the further along it gets. And then there's the alternate ending that plays if you win. Yozora fades away for some reason and doesn't explain why his powers aren't needed. That's just what he says. So now Sora is in the final world, but guess what? We then get the same cutscene of Yozora waking up, but this time the driver talks and asks if what he sees is impressive. Yozora looks out the window and the line from Kingdom Hearts 1 is repeated. Then this time Sora says none of this makes sense. We get this screen, and that's it. Kingdom Hearts 3 is over. But that's not the end. Melody of Memory is the newest entry to the series, explaining the dreams that Kairi has been having while she's been worthless and Ansem is searching through her heart. It's designed as a love letter to the fans and overpriced as a $60 game, but that's not even the worst of it. For 7 to 8 straight hours, you will just be doing this for the entire time, all the while being presented with nothing but flashbacks to the Kingdom Hearts games you've already played. Narrated entirely by Kairi, and I'm not kidding when I say this. Once you're finally caught up after musically playing through the entire series for 8 hours, you will finally be presented with only 30 minutes of new story information. So strap in, because what I'm about to show you next is so important that you'll be so glad you stuck around to hear what I'm going to say. And by the end of it, you'll wish that you too played for 7 hours just to get this absolutely astonishing, informative information that you've been waiting for since January of 2019. So Kairi wakes up while still in her dreams, and she is now in the final world. Kairi then begins floating about the world until she realizes that there's literally no end to the place. She looks at her reflection and then starts getting a migraine for some reason. Now she's witnessing a memory that she had as a child in Radiant Garden where she's chased by Heartless. She makes it to the castle gates but is apprehended by Xehanort. Xehanort throws this literal 4-year-old girl into a machine and begins speaking philosophically about how their world will be engulfed in darkness, and everybody she loves will fucking die unless she's really a princess of heart who can lead Xehanort to the Keyblade wielder. Xehanort continues to talk to her about a bunch of things that only he would understand because Kairi is literally 4. Xehanort says,
however, if you arrive in a world that's neither of light nor darkness, but somewhere on the other side, your task will be far from easy.
And this is actually an important line, and Kairi should definitely not ever forget this. Xehanort then sends her off to Destiny Islands, I guess. So now Kairi is done having a manic episode and suddenly her heart is just casually floating in front of her. It twists and breaks apart, then flies away. And Kairi gives chase. After once again wandering through this endless world of nothing, Kairi catches up to a fragment of her heart. Then a man appears behind her, and it's revealed to be Xehanort. Kairi says he keeps messing with her fate and blames him for Sora's death. Xehanort just kind of talks about how he killed her, making Sora disappear. Then Kairi fights him. He effortlessly dodges all her attacks, not because he's Xehanort, but because Kairi sucks. Until she jumps, and for some reason he's surprised, but it's okay because he just grabs her Keyblade. And you know the rules. Kairi is a woman. She has been grabbed and now she's immobilized. But she does this, and now she's free. But then he just kinda grabs her Keyblade again, and I guess they're just floating now. Xehanort explains that everything Kairi sees is a memory, so even her subconscious knows she's absolute garbage. Xehanort says she'll never find Sora here, because the memories she needs are long gone. Is she talking to him, or is Kairi just imagining this? So Kairi goes anger mode and tries to attack him some more, but he finally gets tired of her and summons his Keyblade. Kairi is then knocked away and she's defeated, without even being hit. You know who wouldn't catch hands like this? Sora! Oh look, it's no, it's just his key. Okay, yep, it's actually Sora. Xehanort says he knows where Sora is since Sora can't actually speak. So instead of Kairi, Sora now fights Xehanort in Kairi's place. And, yup, Sora kills him. Even in your own story, you're entirely useless, Kairi. Fucking hell. A fragment of Kairi's heart comes out of Xehanort and Kairi returns to herself and thanks Sora. But Xehanort isn't dead yet. And now he quotes the line he said earlier, because it's important and will lead her to Sora. Xehanort says he's a product of Kairi's heart and now will reveal the answer she seeks, because she forgot the quote. But we didn't, because we literally just heard it. So Xehanort shifts back to his younger self and he repeats the quote.
If you arrive in a world that's neither of light nor darkness, but somewhere on the other side, your task will be far from easy.
And then he disappears, and Kairi is left confused. So Kairi wakes up and tells everybody what she heard. Then we hear the quote once a fucking again, so I'll play it another time.
If you arrive in a world that's neither of light nor darkness, but somewhere on the other side, your task will be far from easy.
Evan is more concerned with how Sora couldn't talk. Ienzo just assumes we're stupid and would think a world without light and darkness is the realm of darkness, even though they just said it's without both light and darkness. Ansem deduces that Sora is in a fictional world, whatever the hell that means. Kairi suggests that Mickey and Yensid may know something, and then Riku is all,
"Any news?"
And even though Kairi was literally talking as he walked in, he somehow didn't realize Kairi was awake and gets surprised about this. Riku says he's got some clues. Kairi says she's got some clues. And Fairy Godmother randomly appears with some clues, because Yensid keeps sending her to spy on these kids. She explains they need 3 clues. They already have Riku's dreams and Kairi's memories. Hearing Riku explain his dreams makes everyone confirm a fictional world exists. Ansem then explains this random hypothesis he came up with. By removing every existence they have, light, dark, and the in-between, all places where they can travel and go to if they want, because they are on their side of existence. That leaves only a few other places they can visit. A memory, data, and even dreams. But even so, they must remove these as possibilities because Sora is unable to talk, which can only mean that it's because he's on the other side of their universe, and not exactly in their current reality, but another. He's speaking from a place that voices can't reach, which means he's outside of their reality. It is a fictional universe. Are you keeping up here? I'll explain it to you better than the series ever will. Sora isn't dead, he's just in an alternate reality. So Kairi says she wants to ask Mickey and Yensid about this alternate reality, but the Fairy Godmother says they can't help. So Riku asks, what the fuck do we do then? And the Fairy Godmother's like, bitch, I just told you there's 3 clues, as though she hasn't just been avoiding telling them the 3rd clue since she's got here. So, Fairy Godmother says she's gonna take them to see the 3rd clue, so she just teleports them all into the final world. But she can't actually do this.
You've wandered here more than once before on your visits to the Station of Awakening. The edges of sleep and death touch, and one can't help the occasional crossover.
You can only get there by accident if you're alive. Chirithy literally explained this already, so you may ask, why can't you just magically teleport everybody here with no consequences? Well, that's easy. The reason is, so Kairi says she's been here with Sora and came here in her dreams. Riku hasn't ever been here, so he's confused. Kairi says there's nobody here, but Fairy Godmother says there actually are people here. They just need to look closer. So they do, and now they're star people. Fairy Godmother says strong hearts gather here when they die, until they are good to move on to wherever the hell they go in this series, which I assume is literally nowhere but here. Fairy Godmother finds a random Stargirl, says she's been searching for her. Stargirl is surprised they found themselves in this world. Fairy Godmother for some reason knows a ton about Stargirl for some unexplained reason. Fairy Godmother just kinda casually knows about the other reality Ansem talked about and says the Stargirl is from that place. Stargirl is surprised Fairy Godmother knows so much, and Fairy Godmother literally just laughs at her. The Fairy Godmother says she can bring Stargirl's body back if she helps them. She tells Riku to use the power of waking on Stargirl. Stargirl recognizes Sora's name and suddenly she's all on board for helping Sora, because he encouraged her to not give up while he was there. Riku tells Stargirl his dream and Stargirl recognizes the city as Quadratum. So, now that they have a lead, Riku asks Stargirl to help, and Stargirl asks what she can do for them. So Riku summons his Keyblade and just shoots this bitch with no warning. So, they summon this teleport thing like they did with Xehanort, and Kairi says she wants to go with Riku, but Riku is like, bitch, you weak as fuck, ain't nobody trying to hear that bullshit, and Kairi is all, yeah, you're right. So Riku Keyblades himself away to Quadratum. Roll credits. But that's not it, just yet. We still have one last scene. So, Kairi headed off to explain to Yensid and gang what happened. Mickey wants to help Riku, but nobody cares what Mickey thinks. Yensid realizes that Xehanort somehow always knew about this other reality since he was just a scientist. Mickey asks if anybody can get them to this other reality since Xehanort is dead. Yensid says when he was a Keyblade Master, it was known that ancient Keyblade Masters found the other reality already. This literally means that Yensid already knew about all of this information and was just holding it out from everybody until they figured it out by themselves. So Yensid then says stop the Disney Worlds from searching for Sora, whatever that means. Yensid asks if Kairi would continue training. Kairi says she wants to train under Aqua. Yensid then tells Mickey to investigate the new world. Mickey asks how, and Yensid sends him to Scala ad Column, because that's where the ancient Keyblade Masters trained. The end. You know, we could have literally just had Kingdom Hearts 4 start like this. And that's 30 minutes of pseudo story, your hard-earned $60 well spent. So here's what we learned in Melody of Memory and Riku's story. Yensid already knew about the world Sora was transported to. The reason Riku's dreams and Kairi's memories were needed were literally just a highly contrived way to give the audience an explanation of how the other world exists. Without Riku's dream, they would not be able to tell Stargirl about where Sora is. Kairi's memories are entirely useless to us because Xehanort knowing about the world and Ansem the Wise somehow making this discovery out of thin air is irrelevant. Those two knowing that wasn't necessary for Riku to teleport there as he only needed his dream's description. It would have made more sense for both Riku and Kairi to have this recurring dream, since they're both connected to Sora, rather than only have Riku dream of Quadratum. So here's the results. Riku's story checks out as a lead for where Sora is. Yensid already knew everything we were presented, he just pretended he didn't, considering he was the one that led them to Stargirl in the first place. And Kairi, her story was entirely overwritten by Yensid already knowing about Stargirl, the other reality, and the ancient Keyblade Masters. So once again, Kairi, you're fucking useless. What about the Master's identity? We still don't know. The black box? Still nothing. How about Pete and Maleficent? Nothing. What about the foretellers? You guessed it. Nothing. We still have learned literally nothing. Guess we'll just have to wait for the next Kingdom Hearts spinoff that will explain nothing and just add more questions yet again. Thank you all for watching the video. I had such a great time making this story breakdown. Kingdom Hearts is actually one of my favorite franchises of all time. The story has become a shell of its former self, and honestly, I just can't get over how terribly written it is now. That's all I got for this video though. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter at KotyTang. I'll see you guys in the next one.